Hey, Bill, what day is it?
Hey gang, welcome back to Hey Bill, what day is it? This week should bring back memories flooding into our minds. When I tell you what this week's topic is, I'll bet everyone will say, yeah, I remember that. It was really fun. You'll get a flashback of the aroma and texture of one of your favorite toys. Even though it's been around for a long time, kids still love to play with it. On September 16th, we recognized National Play-Doh Day. This iconic child's modeling clay has brought creativity and joy to millions of children around the world. However, before it found its way to the craft shelf, Play-Doh had more practical uses. In 1933, Cleo McVicker and his brother Noah were trying to save their struggling cut-all products company. They approached the company about manufacturing a wallpaper cleaner for the grocery store chain that would clean coal soot off wallpaper, but not damage the paper. Cleo made them an offer they couldn't refuse, and Kroger officials agreed to replace their current cleaner with one manufactured by Cut-All Products. Cleo promised to provide Kroger with 15,000 cases of cleaner, and if he failed to do so on time, Cut-All Products was required to pay Kroger fines. The brothers developed it, met the deadline, and sold it through Kroger as a wallpaper cleaning product. Through the early 20th century, Cut-All became the largest wallpaper cleaning product in the world. Cleo died in 1949 in a plane crash, and his son Joe McVicker and his brother-in-law were brought in to help Noah with the family business. Unfortunately, that was right about the time oil furnaces began replacing coal-burning furnaces, and it wasn't long before the wallpaper cleaner sales dwindled considerably. No coal means no soot, which means it was no longer a necessary product. Cut-All Products was headed for destruction. In 1954, McVicker was trying to turn around the struggling company when his sister-in-law, Kay Zufall, a nursery school teacher, told him that her students kept complaining that the modeling clay they had was too hard for them to play with. She had read that somewhere that wallpaper cleaner made a good modeling clay, and since it was non-toxic, she bought a can of Cut-All to her class and gave it to her students. They immediately loved molding it into all kinds of shapes. She told McVicker how much the children liked it and even suggested turning it into a children's toy with the new name Play-Doh. In 1955, McVicker began testing the cleaner as a modeling clay in classrooms and daycares. The only change they made was to remove some of the salt and add an almond fragrance. Seeing the success of this repurposed product, Joseph and his uncle Noah started a new company called Rainbow Crafts Company Incorporated about a year later. They used his sister-in-law's suggestion and called it Play-Doh. To protect their new product, McVicker filed for a patent in 1958. They soon discovered that the patent office should have been spelled the Patent Office because the patent wasn't approved until January 26, 1965, which happened to be the same year that General Mills purchased the Rainbow Crafts Company and all rights to Play-Doh. In 1972, General Mills placed Play-Doh under the Kenner brand, and Kenner continued to manufacture Play-Doh until the company was acquired by Hasbro in 1991. Once again, I'm a little ahead of myself, but back at Rainbow Crafts, when they began selling Play-Doh, they only offered one color, white. We have Dr. Tien Liu to thank for adding color. Red, blue, and yellow were the first colors offered. Although these days Play-Doh comes in more than 50 different colors, a consumer poll revealed that the fans' favorite colors are rose red, paradise purple, garden green, and blue lagoon. Around the same time McVicker was testing Play-Doh, a new children's television show began broadcasting on CBS with Bob Keeshan playing the role of Captain Kangaroo. While Play-Doh sales were nice, they weren't spectacular, so McVicker asked Captain Kangaroo to promote his modeling clay on his show. The children's television show host agreed, and the children's iconic modeling clay took off. The modeling dough has become so popular that since 1956, more than 3 billion cans of Play-Doh have been sold. That's enough to reach the moon and back, a total of 3 times. One small step for a man, one giant leap for Play-Doh. 3 times. They should have named it Apollo Dough. Nah, that'd never catch on. Unsurprisingly, in 1998, Play-Doh was inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame at the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York. According to the Hall of Fame, recent estimates say that kids have played with 700 million pounds of Play-Doh, which is the equivalent of the weight of the Empire State Building. Remember I said that you would instantly recall the smell of Play-Doh? To commemorate the compound's 50th anniversary, Demeter Fragrance Library worked with Hasbro to create a Play-Doh fragrance, which was developed for highly creative people who seek a whimsical scent reminiscent of their childhood. Anyone who has ever popped open a fresh can of Play-Doh knows that there's something extremely distinctive about the smell. Can you smell it? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. YouTube does not have a smell feature yet. I'm sure it's in the planning stages, though. Anyway, it's so distinctive that early in 2017, Hasbro filed for federal protection in order to trademark the scent, which the company describes as a unique scent formed through the combination of a sweet, slightly musky, vanilla-like fragrance with slight overtones of cherry and the natural smell of a salted, wheat-based dough. When biometric scanners were a bit more primitive, people discovered that you could make a mold of a person's finger, then squish Play-Doh in the mold to make a replica of the finger that would actually fool fingerprint scanners. Back as late as 2005, it was estimated that Play-Doh could actually fool 90% of all fingerprint scanners. But technology's advanced a lot since then, so don't go getting any funny ideas. Today's more sophisticated systems aren't so easily tricked by the doughy stuff. Plus, it's definitely going to get you in serious trouble. While Play-Doh may be a classic toy, it got a state-of-the-art upgrade. In 2016, when Hasbro launched Touch Shape to Life Studio, an app that lets kids turn their Play-Doh creations into animated characters. It's available almost everywhere Play-Doh is sold. By the way, since Play-Doh is made of a mixture of salt, flour, and water, Play-Doh will quickly dry out. If your child has a Play-Doh creation he left on the floor in his closet for a couple of weeks, there's no reason to toss it out. As long as the exterior has become hard and it is still soft and malleable on the inside, it can be worked back into shape with just a few drops of water. Gently knead the water into the dough until it has returned to its normal state. If you happen to find an old container of Play-Doh in your back closet, here's another trick you might find useful. First, break it into smaller pieces and place it in a zip-top bag with a little water. Let it sit for a while and knead it back into shape. Be careful you don't use too much water. You can always add more water, but you can't take it out. Play-Doh that is left out exposed to the air for quite a while and dries out gets pretty hard, and unless restored, it becomes pretty useless. Everyone has experienced the drying out of his or her souls as well. As it is exposed to sin, you become hardened and useless to God, and He can't let you into His heaven. Like the hardened Play-Doh, you need to be restored. God will always do this if you just invite Jesus into your life and ask Him to restore you. The blood that He shed on the cross will wash over you and take away all of that sin and hardness that you've accumulated by living in this world without Him. Jesus' blood can forgive anything that you have done, no matter how bad it is. The cleanliness that God expects is what you will experience when you give your life to Christ. He will clean it up. Then you can spend eternity in heaven with Him, me, and millions of others. I'm Bill Wasore, and this is Hey Bill, What Day Is It? Go ahead, give your heart to Jesus, and then you'll really have a triumphant day.